Everybody's got a price, it's the $1 million man. Podcast in demand. Understand, everybody's got a price. $1 million man. Everybody's got a price. $1 million man. Everybody's got a pod, it's the $1 million man. Podcast in demand. Understand, everybody's got a price. $1 million man. Everybody's got a price.
What's up, everybody? It's Marcus D'Angelo, and we are back for another episode of Everybody's Got a Pod. And of course, I could never do it without the man himself, WWE Hall of Famer, my buddy, the $1 Million Man, Ted DiBiase. Ted, how's it going, dude?
Well, it's going pretty good. It's like I'm actually preparing. Melanie's going to go with me, which is unusual. I mean, it's like, your wife doesn't go to work with you every day. Right. But this is a different trip. We are going to Manchester, England.
All right.
And we are going to, it's a Comic, and it's we fly into Manchester, but the Comic-Con is in Liverpool.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's a whole lot to see around there. I mean, where are the Beatles from?
That's it, right? Yeah.
And basically, I want to go, and that one album they did, and it shows them walking across the street.
Is that Abbey Road?
That's in Liverpool.
No way.
Yeah, and I want Melanie to get a shot of me walking where they walked.
Man, it's so cool that you're getting back over there to the UK. I know that your fans are going to look forward to seeing you. I look forward to seeing that photo of you crossing Abbey Road like the Beatles.
The Abbey Road, yeah.
That'll be cool. But Ted, before we get into our episode today, which is Ask Ted Anything, we got a bunch of great questions from listeners, which we will get to. Before we do, though, Ted, I would be remiss if I didn't bring this up. About 2 weeks ago, you were here in Pittsburgh for an event that I was wrestling at with International Wrestling Cartel, winner takes all. And Ted, something happened here at the end of the match. I have the clip. Let's go ahead and watch this back.
No, it seems to be back to the drawing board for you guys at the D'Angelo.
Yeah, Marcus, let him have it. What's this Hall of Famer think he's doing? It's a future Hall of Famer here.
Yeah, Mark
They've got a lot of yeah.
Oh, wait a minute, come on. This is a WWE Hall of
That's
Famer.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
No.
That's what I'm talking
Marcus.
about. Give it to him, Ted.
No. Oh, my God.
It's locked in.
Someone help Ox. Help him.
Locking it in is
Help
$1
him.
Million Man.
No, my
That's
brother.
right, DiBiase. That's right.
Marcus.
Take it to him.
Stay away.
Take it to him.
Sell it, kid. Sell it.
And look, the foot on the chest. Oh.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, Ted, what the hell, man? What was that?
Yeah. Well, that's where the heels usually end up.
That is how it usually goes. That was my brother Dominic on the call with a young man named Austin. They both do a great job. But the $1 Million Man, my podcast partner, my buddy, put me in my place. Got me with the right hand and the $1 Million Dream.
They told me to do it.
Yeah, a little peek behind the curtain. It was a really fun thing that we planned out there, and got a great reaction from the fans. And yeah, man, if you are just listening to this on audio, make sure that you check that out on YouTube. You can watch the full clip that we just watched right here on the podcast of Ted beat me up, put me in the $1 Million Dream. Holy smokes.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, it was cool to have you here. And you've said here on the podcast a few times that Pittsburgh crowd can be tough to get a reaction out of. Well, you got a hell of a reaction out of them, putting me in the $1 Million Dream. When's the last time you think you put that on somebody?
Well, when remember when I went to NXT?
Yeah.
Okay, they were just going to have me there to do. It was like this idea about what was his name?
Cameron Grimes.
He hits the jackpot, wins all this money, and starts acting like the $1 Million Man. So they said, well, why not have the $1 Million Man show up? And so that's, that was only going to be like a one-off thing, and then it ended up being, 3 or 4 weeks that I went.
Yep.
But
I can't remember if you put somebody in the $1 Million Dream during that run.
I think I did.
Okay, yeah, I don't know. We'll have to go back and watch it. We did an episode on it, so I should know. I watched all of it back, but I just can't recall. But hey, I'm glad. Weird thing to say. I'm glad to be on the receiving end of it from you, man. It was an honor to have you there. It was a lot of fun to have you here in Pittsburgh. So shout out to International Wrestling Cartel, folks. If you have not checked out International Wrestling Cartel, that's where I wrestle, but it's also where some of the best on the entire East Coast wrestles. So go out of your way to check them out, either live here in Pittsburgh or on Trailer TV. But all right, with all that out of the way, let's get into these great fan questions. We've got some really good ones. I'll get through as many as we can. Folks, if you've got a question for Ted, as always, you can respond to Ted on social media. He always puts out a prompt, or you can hit me up in my DMs at Marcus P. D'Angelo on X. A lot of people try to reach out to me on Instagram and Facebook. X is my preferred platform if you got a question, so hit me up on there. Again, it's Marcus P. D'Angelo on X. All right, so let's get into these. The first question is from Lane Judd, and Lane asks, when Roddy Piper painted himself half black for his match with Bad News Brown at WrestleMania, it was weird. What did you think? Ted, any recollection of Roddy Piper doing this?
Well, I kind of thought I thought it was kind of weird too. I was like, I had all the respect for Piper, man. He was such a good guy, and he was a great worker. He was great in every respect of the business.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know what that was. It was weird.
Pretty questionable thing to do. It's like I know that Roddy Piper was not a racist. I think that
Not at all.
we can feel comfortable saying that, but like doing that, painting yourself half black for your African American opponent, I don't know, maybe tone deaf is the right word for it. Just not the right word.
I don't know. I don't know. And I can't remember. I can't remember any of the promos he did for it. So
I really don't recall either. I'll have to go back and look. Now, I did hear that there was a rib that was pulled on him where there was a special solution that needed to be used to take that black paint off. And I think it was Andre might have stolen the solution as a rib. So Piper had to go to the airport painted half black because he couldn't get the solution.
I think that's right.
Just that's a quality rib. Easy.
Oh boy, yeah, that's a big rib.
From a big guy, by the way.
Yeah.
Lane follows that question up with, what did you think of Bad News Brown? I can't remember if we've ever talked about Bad News Brown, Ted. What did you think of him?
He was okay. I mean, he was a nice enough guy, and a fair hand. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know that Bad News Brown I don't know if he was ever featured as the top tier talent.
No, he really wasn't. And actually, that became a kind of a point of contention for Bad News, apparently, because according to him, Vince McMahon at one point promised him a run with Hulk Hogan and then did not deliver on it. And so Bad News quit the company abruptly, and it wasn't a good.
Here, life. I wonder how many people have had promises given to them by their bosses that never ended up materializing.
Right.
And, it's kind of like sometimes those things are done, anticipating that the talent that they're telling it to is going to continue to get better. You know what I'm saying?
Yep, and develop.
By the time we do this, he's blowing and going. But it's not always that way.
I've also heard Bruce Pritchard say before that a lot of times Vince would say to a guy, if he was really excited about a talent, he'd bring him into the office or whatever and say, I can see you as the WWF champion someday. And some guys would take that and say, like, Vince told me I'm going to be WWF champion someday. And so I think a lot of it is, wrestler stuff where they hear what they want to hear, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Next up, we've got Paul, who asked, who do you think had the best tag team finisher? Any of those stick out for you?
Tag team finisher.
I'm trying to come up with a good one.
Yeah, like a team that they did something together and that was their finish.
Yeah, exactly. Like the one that's sticking out for me right now is the Dudley Boys. They did the 3D or the 3D drop. I don't know, some shit like that. Where I think it was Bubba Ray would pick the guy up like he was gonna give him like a flapjack,
Yeah,
and Devon would come in and give him a diamond cutter out of it. So it was
yeah.
a pretty cool looking finish. But yeah, any stick out for you, Ted?
I'll be honest with you, I never gave it much thought.
You and IRS didn't have
Really, and it's kind of like, it's like, and I was in several, tag teams, but the tag teams I was in, like, I guess the longest running one was me and Mike Rotunda,
Probably.
and we didn't, we were heel, so we had our own finish, and
I was gonna say you two. I don't think that you two had a tag team finish.
no, we didn't.
I just remember the other one. It was a simple one. It was Arn and Tully. They would do. I believe it was Tully or Arn would pick the guy up for a pile driver, and Tully would come off the second rope and push the legs down. That was
Yeah.
their finish.
Yeah.
So pretty simple, but yeah, I guess you guys didn't really need one. You're still considered one of the best tag teams of all time.
Just didn't give it much thought.
Yeah. Well, nowadays it's like expected. Like if you're a tag team, you gotta have a tag team finish. It seems like. So
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah, I don't. I don't have a lot of love for the current product.
Except for what you saw with me there with International Wrestling Cartel. I know you were blown away by my wrestling skills.
No, but it's things have changed. And I know that's the other thing. Nothing stays the same. Everything changes. But it's kind of like even when I watch movies, I'm a big movie buff, and I love to watch a good movie. But a good movie, it's a lot of these movies today are just a lot of flash.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but if you do all the flash and it doesn't mean anything, what the hell is it, right?
Yep, it's like just a spectacle.
Yeah,
not a story.
Yeah. Okay, well, where's this story going, right?
Yeah,
that's the biggest element missing in the product today, whether it's WWE or any other thing, is telling the story.
Yep.
Every match used to be a short story or a long story.
One of the greatest stories ever told in wrestling, they say, is the angle between Hulk Hogan and Randy Savage. The Mega Powers explode, which you were right in the middle of that whole thing.
Yeah.
From the twin referee angle to like the jealousy over Liz to then they finally have their clash at WrestleMania 5. That was a year-long story that they told, which started out with I believe with you stealing the WWF champion or buying the WWF championship.
Yeah.
Long-term storytelling just isn't a thing.
Andre, well, the deal was Andre wins but then he sells the belt to me. So I pay Andre off. So they, and they said, well, you didn't win it. You can't defend a championship you didn't win. I said, I can do anything I want to. And so they couldn't give it back to Andre because Andre had been bought off.
Yep.
And they couldn't give it back to Randy because technically he lost.
And without that angle, the $1 million championship never comes to be because you were as a result of that, you were like, well, if I can't win this belt, I'll just make my own better belt.
Yeah.
So yeah, it probably really is the greatest angle in the history of wrestling. It's cool that you were so involved in it. Next up, we've got Frankie Frisco, who asks, I've always wondered why Skandar Akbar referred to Ted as Debussy instead of DiBiase. Was it a rib or something that with his Arab dialect?
Oh, hey, who was that?
Frankie Frisco asked it, if that's what you're wondering, or Skandar. Is that who you're asking?
Skandar Akbar. Skandar Akbar's real name was Jim Weba.
Oh, that was a bunch of bullshit. That accent.
Yeah. Yeah. But he was a great guy. It's like, and I thought he was very strong, by the way. Oh my gosh.
And a good heel.
Yeah. Debussy.
And he was a great bumping heel. Like when he would get in the ring, he would take great bumps. Ted, I can't remember if I've ever told you this story, so forgive me, fans, if you've heard this before, but Matthew McConaughey, the actor, was a huge fan of Mid-South Wrestling, specifically your buddy Jim Duggan. He loved Jim. And he told a story to Jim at one point about how he got kicked out of, I want to say it was the Sam Houston Coliseum, maybe. Got kicked out because he spit on Skandar Akbar. Matthew McConaughey, way back in the day, spit on Skandar Akbar and got ejected from the arena.
I never heard that. Where was that?
I want to say it was in Houston, maybe the Sam Houston Coliseum.
Yeah, that's a possibility.
I mean, so if he's a big wrestling fan, there's a really strong chance that a young Matthew McConaughey was watching you loading the glove back in the day with Mid-South. Pretty cool.
You know, now that I know that Matthew McConaughey is a fan, I'm going, because I'm a fan. I'm a fan of all his work. And he's a hell of an actor.
Let's reach out to Matthew McConaughey, man. Maybe we can get him on the show.
Well, get him. Well, I don't know about getting him on the show. I don't know if he would do that. But if there was any way to get a message to him that one of the guys he used to watch was a big fan of his now, and I don't know.
Let me look into it. I'll see if I can sort that out.
That'd be great.
June Jumper with some weird spelling asks, I know you weren't really the $1 Million Man, but what's the most expensive thing you bought for fun while you were working for the WWF?
What's the most expensive thing I bought?
You ever buy a boat or, a fancy car or anything frivolous like that?
Oh. Did you ever watch Smokey and the Bandit?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. The
Trans Am.
The Trans Am that what's his name?
Burt Reynolds.
Burt Reynolds was driving. I bought one just like it.
Now I will say,
just like it.
You bought that before you ever made it to the WWF, though, when you were still working the territory, so to speak. Was there anything, once you became the $1 Million Man, you're making all that Vince McMahon money up there in New York, was there ever anything else expensive that you went and bought? Or were you too entrenched in family life at that time?
Yeah. When I went to work for Vince and the money got much better, I bought a house. It's funny too, because it's like my wife used to be a realtor. And so she, in the area where we live, and so she's always, and she knows the deal when she sees it. So
I think that's the right answer. I like a lot of people like to kind of imagine themselves in your position and say boy, if I was $1 Million Man and I had all this money from the WWF, boy, what would I buy? But the fact is you were a family man. You were buying a house and probably regular old cars.
Well, and don't get this $1 Million Man thing, it's a gimmick. Yeah. Did I make, top money in my time? Yes, I did, and I was grateful for it. But the $1 Million Man, right? He's a fictitious character.
That's right.
So
there was maybe one or two guys.
Trans Am.
There was maybe one or two guys back in the day making millions in the WWF, and we probably can guess who those guys were. All right, next up we have got Lonnie, who asks, how did you come up with the iconic laugh? Ted, where'd you get that the $1 Million Man laugh?
You know what's crazy? And this is true story. I mean, I can't remember where we were. We were doing television, and back then, I mean, this is WWE now, and we would do in 2 days 6 shows, 3 each day, and now that's like, the fans couldn't always tell because a lot of the back and forth and in the dressing room and all that stuff was done later. But the wrestling, we would do 3 wrestling shows, and so it was at one of those deals, and I was on the phone, and I don't know, I can't even remember who I was talking to, but I cocked my head back and I laughed. Vince happened to be walking by. He looked at me and he said, "That's my $1 Million Man." He says, "Ted," he says, "every time you cut a promo, every time you have anything to say, you end it with that laugh." So I have to give Vince McMahon credit for the $1 Million Man's laugh.
How about that? So just like a random moment where you did the laugh.
Random moment, and he heard it and said, "That's it, man. That's my character."
And honestly, I can't tell you how often I see it online or on our YouTube channel where people comment on the $1 Million Man laugh and how they've kind of connected that with your character. Like, honestly, it became a huge part of who your character was.
All the stuff I've done in wrestling. What's everybody remember?
It's how we end our podcast every week. Man, it just great stuff. We got a fun one up next. We had someone do this a few months back, and it might be the same person. I can't remember their name, but I do want to encourage our listeners right now to submit more of these because I absolutely love these hypotheticals. Trevor Coleman asks, who was better? It's going to be 6 different talents that we're evaluating right now, and he's asking you who is better among them. So here's the first pairing. Who is better, Scott Hall or Roddy Piper? If you could pick only one.
Roddy Piper.
All right. The next one is, who is better, Mr. Perfect or Randy Orton?
Wait, do what? Who?
Who is better, Mr. Perfect or Randy Orton?
Ooh. Man, that's a hard one. I'm sorry, but that I put those 2 guys on the same wavelength. I couldn't pick one or the other because they're both that good.
Well, let me rephrase it then. Ted, if you could work a WrestleMania main event against either Mr. Perfect or Randy Orton, you in your prime, them in their prime, who would you select? Who do you think you'd work better with?
Again, I know I could have a great match with either one of them. I think that, but as far as the angle, the fact that Randy Orton and Ted DiBiase are both the sons of former wrestlers.
Yeah.
There would be the deal. So Randy Orton.
Got to be Randy Orton in that case. And then the last pairing is, who is better, Triple H or Harley Race?
Oh my God. Harley Race, hands down. Hands down.
Nothing against Hunter.
Harley Race was one of the greatest, NWA world champions that we ever had. And it's kind of like, he was an old school guy and obviously, the business was changing, but anytime you had Harley Race on a card and it was the main event.
Harley Race, he just had that aura about him, right? Yeah. This is like,
and just so you know, not only was he a great wrestler, I mean, he was legitimately
tough as nails.
That's one guy you wouldn't want to screw with because he would knock you out. Oh my gosh!
And he was a big time smoker, if I remember right.
Yeah.
He always had a cigarette in his mouth. Did you ever see it impact his ring work as far as his wind out there?
No, because back then wrestling was, I mean, it was, it was not so much cardiovascular. I mean, it's kind of like you're getting into it. Now, if you really wrestling somebody, when you grab a hold of somebody, you're using every fiber in your body if it's a real wrestling match. But in pro wrestling, it's not. And so, I've seen Harley throw the cigarette down, grab his belt, and walk to the ring.
That's a pretty badass man. All right, so I'm gonna give you a hard one here, Ted. So you selected Roddy Piper and hypothetically Randy Orton, even though it was like that's just who you think you'd work better with, and Harley Race. So we've got those three: Roddy Piper, Randy Orton, Harley Race. Who is the best among the three of them, Ted?
From between the three of them?
Yep, Roddy Piper, Randy Orton, Harley Race. Who is the best?
Harley Race.
Got to be Harley.
Harley Race, yeah.
The best wrestler, as he might say, on God's green earth.
Yeah, and with no offense for either of the other guys, because they're all great.
Yeah.
But Harley Race, and also, for some sentimental reasons, I would pick Harley because, like I said, he's the guy who ran to ringside and administered artificial resuscitation to my dad.
Yeah,
trying to keep him alive.
Yeah, he checks a lot of boxes, not just as a wrestler, but for you personally. It's
yeah.
Ted, that's going to wrap us up. Before we go, though, I did want to ask you while we were talking about this, we were talking about guys blowing up, and you said that Harley, wrestling was different back then. It wasn't quite as fast paced, so Harley could probably kind of keep his wind. I know that you were always in really good shape as far as your cardio was concerned. Can you think of anybody who was just like so relentless out there in the ring, kept coming at you that it blew you up? Anybody stand out?
Well, not really, because again, it's I wrestled. I came up in old school. My dad obviously was old school, and I'm not so crazy about the new school because they run around like a bunch of jackrabbits and they take all these beautiful bumps. They don't sell anything, so who cares? Yeah, a lot of watching wrestling today, oftentimes it's like I know everything changes, but the art form of what we do, I think has seen its better day. Because I go to some of these matches, and I'll be honest with you, I haven't seen any WWE matches lately. So I'm maybe I shouldn't bark so loud, but it's just the storytelling. What I see is a lot of guys, jumping in and out of the ring and doing unbelievable things. A triple back somersault off the top rope to the floor. Oh my gosh, that's thrilling. But why? In other words, what about that bump you took? Was it a bump that you were going to sell, or was it something that you were going to do to your opponent? And if so, then what was the effect? Because if you're not doing the move for any other reason but to show everybody that you can do a triple back somersault off the top rope, if it doesn't mean shit, then it's worthless.
That's yes, and that's kind of like what people say when they criticize wrestling nowadays is that these guys, instead of chasing like the good stories or chasing like the good rivalries, chasing the money, they're chasing pops from the crowd. That's what they want. They just want to pop the crowd, and there's value in that. Of course, you want the crowd to pop and be excited about what you're doing, but like long term, you're kind of hurting the business by just chasing that pop, right?
Well, yeah, when you go out there and you do all this stuff, I mean, everybody knows today. Not so much when I was really young, they still tried to protect it like it was a real deal, but if you've been any kind of athlete, you can watch pro wrestling for 5 or 10 minutes and figure it out. It's just like I said, the thrill is gone for me.
Ted, there is one modern wrestler that I need to show you clips of sometime in our spare time, because I think that you as a heel would really, really appreciate him. Have you seen much Dominic Mysterio, Rey Mysterio's son?
I haven't. I haven't. But if I know Ray, and I do know Ray, and Ray, there's a good example. Rey Mysterio. Here's a guy that's, he's like not even, I don't think he's 5 feet tall.
He's like 5'4", 5'5", maybe.
And could do all of this incredible stuff in the ring.
Mm-hmm.
But when he did it, it meant something.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying?
And he could sell.
Well, and oh yeah, oh my gosh, could he sell? But again, it's like, it's almost like my attitude was, you could go to a wrestling show and watch it, and I wanted the people to leave going, well, those first couple matches, they weren't really real, but man, those guys in the main event, they were really mad at each other. They were shooting. That's what I wanted the crowd to believe by the time my match was over.
Well, I'm going to show you a clip of Dominic Mysterio. Ted, I've watched a lot of wrestling for many, many years, across many generations. I don't think I have ever seen anybody get heat the way that Dominic Mysterio gets it. I was at a live show here in Pittsburgh once, and Dominic Mysterio was involved, and it was like a 6-man tag match or something. Yeah. So he was spending a lot of time on the apron. When he was on the apron, the crowd wasn't paying attention to the match. They were booing him. And I'm talking like an arena full of people focus their attention on Dom Mysterio to boo him.
Wow.
Just unbelievable heat that this kid gets. I'm going to show you some clips of him and kind of get your take on him and what he's doing.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but all right, so that's gonna wrap us up for today. It's fun. I love these episodes. The end of this episode is a really good example of why Ask Ted Anything is so fun, because we just go completely off the rails, never know what direction we're gonna take the podcast in. So man, it was a blast. Thank you to everybody who wrote in with questions. There's more, we'll get to them down the road, but again, in the meantime, please go ahead and respond to Ted's prompts on social media.
And while I have a chance to plug him, my good friend there, Marcus, I got to see him in action. Not too bad.
All right.
Ain't never going to be the $1 Million Man, but not too bad.
Well, nobody can reach that kind of level. I don't think anybody's ever going to be that good. No, man, it's been fun. I love being in wrestling. I love getting to talk to you and the other guys I work with. I love stepping in the ring. Yeah. And I take a lot of pride in working like Ted DiBiase and Arn Anderson and Jake Roberts and the guys that I grew up admiring. So I'm fortunate to be able to talk to you and so many other guys from that generation who can kind of coach me up on the right way to get heat.
And the names, the guys you just named in my book are, again, I guess we really are a dying breed because we're all getting older.
Well, I'm going to do my best to carry on your legacy in the ring by working your style. So stay tuned for that. And folks, again, reach out to us online if you want to add a question for Ask Ted Anything. And Ted, my friend, have fun over there in Liverpool, greeting all your fans, and I'll see you next week.
I'll see you next week. And just before I go, I want to remind everybody that everybody's got a price for the $1 Million Man.
There's that iconic laugh. We'll see you next time right here on Everybody's Got a Pot.